This is a story about first contact, not the kind with laser weapons and diplomatic envoys, not the kind with universal translators debating philosophy. This is about the other kind of first contact, the kind that happens when one civilization's garbage meets another civilization's sacred tradition. When humanity finally made contact with alien life, we didn't conquer them with superior firepower. We didn't outsmart them with advanced technology.
Disposal
We didn't
chutes
even
picking
mean
up
to
again.
do anything to them at all. We just kept making pens, 17 billion ballpoint pens, every single day for about $1 each. Because that's what we do. That's what we've always done. We take the impossible, make it routine, and sell it in bulk. But here's what we didn't know. In a galaxy where most civilizations treat manufacturing as sacred art, where a single writing implement might take decades to create, where scarcity is considered a law of nature rather than an economic choice, our Tuesday afternoon is their apocalypse. This is the story of Kenji Nakamura, a quality control engineer who accidentally started an interstellar incident by doing his job too well. This is the story of Scrivener Zithara Velmoth, who discovered that her civilization's entire foundation was built on a problem humanity had solved 70 years ago. This is the story of how a 50-cent ballpoint pen became the most dangerous weapon in galactic history, and nobody even noticed until it was too late. Welcome to the mundane apocalypse. Kenji Nakamura's coffee had gone cold 3 hours ago, but he barely noticed the bitter dregs clinging to his ceramic mug.
Impossible.
Fluorescent lights hummed overhead in the Mitsubishi Uniball Quality Control Lab, casting harsh shadows across the endless rows of rejected ballpoint pens. Red ink smeared his fingertips as he marked another batch. Manufacturing defect, inconsistent flow rate, standard Tuesday morning tedium.
Disposal chutes picking up again.
Yamada wheeled another cart of rejects toward the incinerator. Steam hissed from the industrial furnace, carrying the acrid stench of melting plastic and metal into the recycled air. 47,000 defective pens this week alone. Corporate efficiency demanded perfection. Anything less became expensive garbage. Kenji winced as his supervisor's voice crackled through the intercom.
Nakamura-san, expedite processing. Waste management's threatening overtime charges.
His shoulders tensed with familiar workplace dread, another cost-cutting mandate disguised as productivity improvement. The scene shifts. In the distant future, beneath Earth's former Tokyo district, an alien archaeologist makes a discovery that will change everything. Scrivener Zithara Velmoth's crystalline talons scraped against ancient stone as she examined the mysterious artifact. Her compound eyes dilated in the chamber's bioluminescent glow, analyzing the alien object's impossibly uniform construction. 6 standard inches of blue polymer housing. Chrome-plated tip gleaming with mathematical precision.
Impossible.
She whispered, her voice echoing through the excavation tunnels. Centuries of training in runic inscription had prepared her for many wonders, enchanted styluses that wrote in liquid starlight, quills that drew power from solar winds. Nothing had prepared her for this. Zithara's mandibles clicked nervously as she activated her bioscanner. Molecular structure, basic carbon polymers, metallic alloys, synthetic dyes. 0 magical resonance, 0 enchantment signatures. Yet somehow, this primitive tube could produce continuous, flawless writing for distances that would exhaust 12 master scribes. Back in the lab, Kenji absently clicked his own pen. Identical model, different batch. Click, click, click. Muscle memory from years of monotonous inspections. He didn't realize he held a weapon of mass economic destruction.
These humans. Mass production. Planned obsolescence.
Each term felt like blasphemy against everything her civilization held sacred. Quillspine's scribes spent decades crafting single enchanted implements, sacred tools passed down through generations. Carbon scoring on the artifact's grip suggested millions of identical units. Millions. Her thoracic cavity constricted with existential terror. Kenji stretched his aching neck, glancing at the wall clock. 3:47 p.m. Another rejected pen joined the disposal bin with a hollow plastic clink. Tomorrow would bring identical quotas, identical defects, identical disposal procedures. He couldn't imagine that somewhere in the distant future, alien archaeologists would tremble before the industrial miracle of his mundane Tuesday afternoon, or that his civilization's casual waste would topple empires built on scarcity and mysticism. High Scrivener Zithara Velmoth's compound eyes burned as she reviewed the intercepted cargo manifest for the third time. Her meditation chamber's sacred incense had long since guttered out, leaving only the acrid smell of fear pheromones from her own stress glands. She reads from a holographic display showing an intercepted human cargo manifest. Destination: Kepler Station Trade Hub. Origin: Earth, Mitsubishi Industrial Complex, Sector 7. Contents: 500,000 units, Uniball Jetstream RT 0.7 millimeters. Unit cost: 0.43 credits. Total shipment value: 215,000 credits. Delivery schedule: weekly, recurring. Note: standard office supply, automated reorder.
Weekly. Automated.
The words tasted like poison on her translator's neural interface. Her apprentice, Kylneth, shifted nervously by the doorway.
High Scrivener, the Guild Council demands your assessment. 3 merchant houses have already declared bankruptcy. Street vendors are selling these things for less than blessed ink powder.
Zithara pulled up the surveillance data from Kepler Station's market district. The holographic display made her thoracic cavity constrict. Stacks of identical blue cylinders. Thousands of them. Citizens. Common citizens who'd never touched a ceremonial quill, clutching the human artifacts, writing contracts, creating art, recording history. No ritual preparation, no 17-minute blessing cycles, no 47 names of bureaucratic power. Just function. Instant, perfect, impossible function.
High Scrivener, what do we tell the council?
Zithara's mandibles clicked against each other, her species' expression of profound dread. On Earth, in a factory she'd never heard of, a quality control engineer named Kenji Nakamura was approving production batch number 7841C. Another 500,000 units ready for shipment. He'd process 17 such batches today. Standard Tuesday workload.
Tell the council that we need to understand these humans immediately, before the next shipment arrives.
She stared at the manifest's final line. Next delivery, 72 hours. 72 hours. In 3 days, another 500,000 writing implements would flood the markets. In 3 days, more sacred scribe work would become obsolete. And according to the shipping logs, Earth had 47 facilities producing identical artifacts. 47.
By the sacred quills, what have we encountered?
Kylneth accessed the preliminary analysis reports, his voice shaking as he read aloud.
Human manufacturing capacity analysis shows. High Scrivener, this can't be correct. The numbers suggest they produce more writing implements in a single planetary rotation than our entire Dominion crafts in a century.
Silence filled the chamber like a held breath.
It's correct. And that, apprentice, is why we should be terrified.
Kenji Nakamura's fingers traced the smooth polymer barrel of lot number 47892B, his practiced eye catching the microscopic imperfection that would doom this batch. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead in the Mitsubishi Uniball Quality Control Lab, casting harsh shadows across 10,000 identical blue pens. Metal clicked against ceramic as he set down his precision calipers, the familiar weight of routine settling into his bones.
Another 0.02 GUI totally variance in the tip alignment.
He muttered, marking the rejection form with, ironically, a competitor's pen. Ozone from the UV sterilizers stung his nostrils as he sealed the defective batch in its containment box. Standard protocol, incineration by Thursday. Nobody could have predicted what happened next. Meanwhile, in orbit above Earth, High Scrivener Zithara Velmoth felt her chitinous exoskeleton prickle with anticipation as the dimensional rift tore open above Earth's industrial sector. Crimson energy cascaded from her scanning apparatus, each pulse revealing the primitive world's pathetic attempts at documentation. Quill slaves throughout her battlecruiser chanted blessing inscriptions, their sacred inks glowing with mana-infused significance.
Begin harvesting protocols. Catalog any writing implements of cultural significance.
Gravitic beams descended like silver threads, pulling random objects from the planet's surface. Warehouses, factories, office buildings, everything disappeared into the ship's cargo bays with surgical precision, including one mundane cardboard box labeled defective, disposal scheduled. Back on Earth, Kenji stared at the empty space where his rejection box had been, coffee mug frozen halfway to his lips. Steam curled upward, carrying the bitter aroma of beans that suddenly tasted like the last normal moment of his life. Aboard the alien vessel, lab scribe Quillspine's tentacles trembled as she opened the mysterious container. Crystalline formations sparked across her analysis chamber while she extracted the alien artifacts, dozens of identical cylindrical objects, each bearing strange hieroglyphs, Uniball Signo. Bioluminescent sensors registered impossible uniformity, every measurement identical down to molecular precision.
Impossible,
She whispered, her translator symbiont struggling with concepts her language had no words for. Mass production, quality control, industrial standardization. Zithara materialized beside her, ceremonial robes rustling with embedded power crystals.
Report, underling.
Hi, Scrivener. These things, they're identical. Perfectly. Each one could write for approximately 2.3 kilometers of continuous line.
Silence stretched like a held breath. Somewhere in the ship's depths, 10,000 sacred scribes continued their life's work, handcrafting individual writing implements through blood, prayer, and artisanal suffering. Each quill took 3 standard cycles to complete. Each pen could manage perhaps 50 meters before requiring blessed renewal. Zithara's mandibles clicked once, a sound that had historically preceded the extinction of species. Her worldview, built on scarcity and sacred craftsmanship, began cracking like ice under industrial heat.
Test 1.
Quillspine pressed the alien device against parchment. Blue ink flowed smoothly, effortlessly, mockingly, perfect lines, consistent pressure, no ceremony, no prayer, no 47 preparatory rituals, just function.
By the eternal quill. What have we found?
High Scrivener Zithara. Velmoth's primary tentacles trembled as she absorbed the implications. Bitter alkaloid fear flooded her gill slits. 47 separate intelligence reports, all confirming the same impossible reality. Human manufacturing capability defied every known law of economic scarcity.
Quality control engineer Kenji Nakamura.
She whispered, mandibles clicking against crystalline teeth. Steam rose from her overheated cognitive chambers as the mathematics carved themselves into her consciousness like molten metal. 17 billion ballpoint pens. Daily production rate. Kenji himself remained blissfully unaware, coffee-stained lab coat draped over his shoulders as he examined another batch of Uniball Jetstream prototypes. Statistical process control charts danced across his monitors, defect rates measured in parts per million, cycle times optimized to milliseconds. Fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting harsh shadows across quality inspection stations where machines tested ink flow rates faster than Quillspine apprentices could even comprehend. In a classified intelligence briefing, analyst Kethmore Spineweaver's report burned through encrypted channels. Subject demonstrates casual mastery of industrial replication. Observational data indicates single facility produces more writing implements per rotation cycle than our entire sector's annual ceremonial output. Cold dread settled in Zithara's thoracic cavity. Kenji's Mundane Tuesday represented an existential threat to millennia of cultural hierarchy. Sacred Scrivener guilds, whose members trained for decades perfecting single enchanted quills, faced obsolescence from humanity's throwaway abundance. Surveillance footage revealed the horror. Kenji discarding defective pens, instruments that wrote smoother than Master Scrivener ceremonial implements, into waste receptacles. Thousands of them. Metallic clanging echoed through the footage as plastic met aluminum. Each discarded pen representing months of Quillspine artisan labor.
Automated assembly lines, CAD-designed components, injection molded housings, precision ball bearings, manufactured to tolerances of plus or minus 2 micrometers.
He explained to a visiting colleague, gesturing toward production machinery. His casual tone carried the weight of civilizational upheaval. Zithara's neural pathways sparked with desperate calculations. If humans could mass-produce superior writing instruments as industrial byproducts, what other mundane technologies possess similar disruptive potential? Hot terror coursed through her circulatory system as she contemplated humanity's casual relationship with abundance. Emergency protocols demanded immediate containment. Yet Kenji's latest quality report showed production scaling upward, new facilities online, distribution networks expanding across 17 star systems. Each plastic pen represented a small apocalypse for traditional Scrivener economics. Zithara stared at the intelligence briefing's final line. Human subject exhibits no awareness of cultural destruction caused by routine manufacturing operations. Her gill slits fluttered with existential horror. How do you negotiate with a species that accidentally commits cultural genocide through quality control? Meanwhile, Kenji's hand shook as he reviewed the shipping logs. Something was very, very wrong.
Run that query again.
He told the logistics AI, his voice tight. The holographic display refreshed. 47.3 million units delivered to Quillspine sector addresses over the past 8 days. Another 12 million currently in transit. Standing order status. Active. Projected monthly volume. 180 million units.
Jesus Christ.
The coffee mug slipped from his fingers, shattering across the factory floor. Nobody noticed over the mechanical thunder of production line 7, which churned out another 16,000 pens as he stood frozen. His tablet exploded with notifications, all marked urgent diplomatic priority. Mitsubishi Corporate Liaison, immediate cease of all Quillspine shipments. Earth Trade Authority, stand by for emergency diplomatic contact. Quillspine Dominion Embassy, request immediate audience with Quality Control Director Nakamura. That last one made his blood run cold. They knew his name, They wanted him specifically. Kenji pulled up the original purchase order, hands trembling as he traced the chain of automated approvals. There, a single checkbox his AI assistant had auto-selected: enable automated inventory replenishment based on consumption patterns. Standard protocol for institutional clients. Except the Quillspine Dominion wasn't a school district or a corporate office park. It was an interstellar civilization built on scarcity, and he'd just pointed the infinite fire hose of human manufacturing capacity directly at its economic foundation.
Sir, there's someone here to see you. From off-world.
His supervisor, Tanaka-san, appeared beside him, face gray. Through the observation window, Kenji saw her, 7 feet tall, chitinous exoskeleton shifting through colors he suspected meant emotional distress, 6 arms clutching what looked like ceremonial writing implements. High Scrivener Zithara Velmoth, according to his suddenly updating security badge reader. Behind her stood what could only be described as an honor guard, or perhaps an execution squad. Hard to tell with aliens. Tanaka-san's voice dropped to a whisper.
They're saying their entire guild system is collapsing. Millions unemployed. Riots in 17 systems. Kenji, they're saying you might have accidentally started a war.
Kenji stared at production line 7, which, oblivious to diplomatic crises and cultural apocalypses, cheerfully stamped out another 1,000 perfect ballpoint pens. Each one another casualty in humanity's unintentional conquest of the galaxy.
Shut down the line.
What?
Shut it down. All Quillspine designated production. Now. And get me a xenocultural advisor before I go meet her. I need to know how badly I've screwed this up.
Through the window, Zithara's compound eyes tracked the production line with the intensity of someone watching their world end, one blue pen at a time. Kenji Nakamura adjusted his safety glasses for the 14th time this morning, sweat beading on his forehead despite the climate-controlled factory floor. Something about today felt wrong. Manufacturing Line 7 Alpha hummed its familiar mechanical symphony, but his tablet kept buzzing with increasingly frantic messages from the Export Compliance Division.
Sir, corporate wants to see you. Now, something about diplomatic incidents?
His assistant Yuki approached, clutching a steaming cup of coffee like a lifeline. Diplomatic incidents? Kenji's stomach dropped. He'd been quality checking ballpoint pens for 12 years, hardly the stuff of international crises. Fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows across his reflection in the break room window as he reviewed his morning reports. Blue ink flow rate, optimal. Ball bearing rotation, 0.2 millimeter tolerance. Plastic housing integrity, exceeds standards. An intercepted communication log appeared on his screen. Corporate to quality control, priority alpha. Stop production line 7 immediately. Alien ambassador requesting emergency meeting. Something about economic warfare and replication catastrophe. Your expertise required. Warmth drained from Kenji's face as he read the message 3 times. Alien ambassador? His hands trembled slightly. The same tremor he'd felt during the Great Tohoku earthquake, that helpless recognition of forces beyond human control. Crisp autumn air bit his lungs as he hurried across the corporate campus, fallen leaves crunching under his polished shoes. Conference room C reeked of ozone and something vaguely floral, like jasmine mixed with copper pennies. Ambassador Zithara towered 7 feet tall, her chitinous exoskeleton catching fluorescent light in prismatic cascades. Multiple eyes tracked Kenji's entrance while her mandibles clicked in what might have been distress.
You created this?
Her translator rendered alien harmonics into flat, emotionless English. Six-fingered claws gestured at a standard Uniball Signo RT1 sitting innocuously on mahogany conference table.
Ma'am, that's just a pen. Retail value, maybe $2.
Kenji blinked. Zithara's entire body shuddered, chitin plates scraping against each other like fingernails on chalkboard.
$2? Your species mass produces artifacts that would bankrupt entire star systems for pocket change?
Well, yes. We make about 40 million annually across all our...
40 million?
Zithara's shriek shattered coffee mugs. Her translator sparked, smoking slightly. Corporate executives dove under the conference table. Kenji remained standing, bewildered. Manufacturing numbers were just numbers. Production quotas, efficiency metrics, quality standards. Nothing apocalyptic. Certainly nothing worth diplomatic panic attacks. Cool air conditioning couldn't dispel the growing heat of confusion spreading through his chest.
Ma'am, I don't understand. It's basic polymer injection molding with tungsten carbide ball bearings. Standard industrial processes since the 1950s.
Zithara stared at him with compound eyes that reflected his confused expression in thousands of tiny fragments. When she finally spoke, her voice carried the weight of civilizational terror.
Your species accidentally created the most powerful weapon in galactic history, and you call it standard.
Kenji felt reality shifting beneath his feet like quicksand. High Scrivener Zithara stood before the Dominion War Council, her ceremonial robes feeling like a costume from a dead civilization. Around the obsidian table sat the most powerful beings in 17 star systems. Guild masters, merchant lords, military command, all staring at her with compound eyes that demanded answers she didn't have.
Show them.
High Chancellor Mordeth commanded, his voice like grinding stone. Zithara activated the holographic display. Earth's industrial sector materialized above the table, a three-dimensional nightmare of factories, warehouses, shipping routes. She zoomed in on a single facility, Mitsubishi Quality Control, Sector 7.
This building produces 43 million writing implements per day.
Silence. Then someone laughed, a harsh, disbelieving sound.
One facility. They have 17,000 similar facilities across one planet.
She pulled up the production statistics, each number a nail in their collective coffin.
Daily global output. Approximately 156 billion writing implements. Annually.
The laughter died.
That's more than we've created in our entire recorded history. In a single year.
In a single year. And they consider this ordinary, routine. Quality control. Director Nakamura processes production batches the way we would catalog individual masterworks, except his batches contain millions of units.
War leader Krexvoth's bioluminescent patches flared crimson, the color of proposed violence.
Then we destroy their production capacity, surgical strikes, disable their factories before... I know. No.
Before what? Before they notice? They ship to 3,000 star systems. They'd rebuild capacity in weeks, while we'd be declaring war on the galaxy's industrial heartbeat.
She pulled up another display, Earth's military specifications.
And in case you're wondering, yes, they mass-produce their weapons too.
The chamber fell into horrified silence. Merchant Lord Vexy's voice was mechanical with shock. He paused. Zithara thought of apprentice Clythin, whose diary she'd read that morning. 20 years of training, 20 years, made obsolete by a plastic tube that cost less than a meal. She'd found his body in the archives, ceremonial quill clutched in his final grip.
Economic catastrophe report.
14 million scribes unemployed across the Dominion, 47 major guild houses bankrupt, suicide rate among master scribes 400% above baseline. We've logged 1,200 deaths by Final Ink, ritual suicide, in the past 72 hours alone. The riots are spreading. Citizens are abandoning traditional education. They're angry that we made them spend decades learning what humans distribute freely, angry that we built our civilization on artificial scarcity.
Then what do you propose? Surrender? Accept cultural extinction?
Mordeth's question hung in the recycled air like an execution notice. Zithara felt the weight of her species' survival pressing down on her thorax. She could recommend war, futile, catastrophic war against a civilization that could bury them in ballpoint pens. Or she could recommend,
I propose that I return to Earth, that I tour their facilities, learn their methods, not as a dignitary, as a student.
You want to learn their heresy?
I want to understand how they do the impossible, because they don't think it's impossible. That's what we're missing. They built systems we can't even conceptualize. If we're going to survive, we need to understand their mindset.
And if you're wrong, if their mundane miracle is just overwhelming industrial capacity that we can never match?
Zithara pulled up one final image. Security footage from a Quillspine market. A child, perhaps 7 cycles old, writing poetry with a human pen. Beautiful poetry. Poetry that would have required a decade of training in the old ways.
Then we adapt. Or we die as a civilization trapped in a past that no longer exists, because that child doesn't care about our sacred orders or our 17 rituals. She just wants to write, and the humans gave her that power for 5 credits.
The council members stared at the image of the child, her tentacles forming glyphs with unconscious grace, using a tool that cost less than ceremonial ink powder.
3 days. You have 3 days on Earth to find us a path forward. If you fail...
He didn't need to finish. They all saw the rioting crowds on the status displays. They all knew the military was mobilizing.
If I fail, then it won't matter what we decide. They'll have shipped another 1 billion pens by then.
She left the council chamber to prepare for her journey, knowing that somewhere on Earth, Quality Control Director Kenji Nakamura was probably approving another production batch, completely unaware that the next 3 days would determine whether first contact ended in cooperation or war. In her quarters, she packed her few belongings and stared at her ceremonial quill, 17 generations old, blessed by the greatest scribes of her age, worth more than a minor planet's GDP. She left it on her desk. Where she was going, it would only be a relic. Kenji had spent 3 days preparing for this moment. 3 days reading xenocultural briefings. 3 days learning about Quillspine society. 3 days understanding, really understanding, what his job meant to people who weren't human. It didn't make showing High Scrivener Zithara the factory floor any easier.
Standard production run. This line manufactures approximately 12,000 units per hour.
His voice was barely audible over the rhythmic thunk, thunk, thunk of pneumatic presses. He'd rehearsed this explanation a dozen times. Keep it simple. Don't overwhelm her. Zithara's 6 eyes tracked every movement. The molten plastic flowing through transparent tubes, the robotic arms assembling components with mechanical precision, the automated quality scanners checking each pen at speeds too fast for organic eyes to follow.
12,000 per hour.
It's actually one of our slower lines. I'm sorry. That probably doesn't...
How many lines?
In this facility, 7 production lines, 4 packaging systems, 2 quality control stations.
Globally.
Kenji pulled up the numbers on his tablet. Numbers he'd reviewed so many times they'd lost all meaning, until now.
Approximately 17,000 production facilities across 47 countries. Total daily output ranges from
Something wet splattered on the factory floor. Zithara's secondary stomach had emptied itself, violet bile steaming against the concrete. Her diplomatic escort rushed forward, but she waved them away with a trembling claw.
High Scrivener?
Kenji reached out instinctively, then stopped himself. He didn't know if touch was appropriate, if she needed space, if...
Show me. Show me everything. I need to understand how you broke the universe.
So he did. He showed her Quality Station 12, where Inspector Martinez tested pen flow rates. Click, scribble, click, scribble. Each movement casual, thoughtless, devastating.
Bob's been doing this for 15 years. Yesterday, he caught a 0.2 millimeter deviation in barrel thickness that would have affected ink flow. Probably saved us a couple thousand effective units.
4 Quillspine delegates simultaneously fainted. Kenji rushed to help them, but their medical attendants had it covered. He turned back to Zithara, who was staring at Bob with an expression Kenji couldn't read. Her translator provided the words a moment later.
Your Bob prevents more loss in one day than our Grand Quillmaster crafts in a lifetime.
Kenji trailed off. What could he say to that? That it was just quality control? That it was Tuesday? That 17,000 facilities did the same thing day after day with the reliable efficiency of machines designed never to stop? He remembered a line from the cultural briefing. Quillspine scribes spend 40 years training to create a single perfect implement. It is the pinnacle of their artisanal culture. 40 years. He looked at production line 7, which had produced 48,000 perfect implements in the 4 hours since Zithara arrived.
Oh God, we didn't just disrupt your economy, we invalidated your entire civilization's core achievement.
Zithara's mandibles clicked once, a sound that the cultural briefing had told him meant profound agreement.
Do you understand now? You asked me 3 days ago what you'd done wrong, and the answer is nothing. That's what makes it unforgivable.
She gestured at the production line with all 6 arms, an expression his briefing said indicated philosophical resignation.
If you'd conquered us with weapons, we could fight back. If you'd infiltrated our markets deliberately, we could call it warfare. But you just existed. You built systems so efficient that our sacred traditions became obsolete as a side effect of your Tuesday afternoon.
Kenji felt the weight of industrial civilization settling onto his shoulders.
The briefing said 1,200 scribes have committed suicide.
1,400, as of this morning.
Zithara pulled up a holographic display from her diplomatic datapad. Faces appeared. Alien, yes, but the despair was universal.
This was Master Scribe Cleathmore, 3 centuries old. Created the illuminated scrolls of Velcarax that served as our governmental foundation. He held one of your pens, spent 6 hours studying it. Then he performed the ritual of final ink.
The image showed an elderly Quillspine, his ceremonial robe stained with what Kenji assumed was blood. Beside him, a blue ballpoint pen. Mitsubishi Uniball Signo RT1. Retail price, $1.99.
Because of this.
Kenji's hand shook as he pointed at the pen.
Because 3 centuries of mastery meant nothing compared to $1's worth of plastic and ink. Your species doesn't have heroes and villains, Director Nakamura. You have engineers who do their jobs well, and that's somehow more devastating than any war.
Behind them, Machine Station 12 beeped cheerfully, announcing another 1,000 completed units. Kenji made a decision.
Come with me.
He led her past the production lines, past the quality control stations, past the packaging systems, to a door marked Archives and Design. Inside, walls covered with technical drawings, chemical formulas, failed prototypes, and patents dating back decades.
This is how we did it. 60 years of incremental improvements, better plastics, smoother ball bearings, more consistent ink formulations. It's not magic. It's not even genius. It's just patience and sharing.
He showed her patent filings, all publicly available. Research papers on ink chemistry, manufacturing process improvements documented and distributed freely.
Every advancement we made, we published. Because the goal was never to dominate a market. The goal was to make better pens so people could write better.
He pulled up a cross-reference database.
See this bearing design? Developed by a Japanese engineer in 1982. See this ink formula? German chemist, 1995. This plastic composite? Brazilian team, 2003. We built this together, globally. We didn't hoard knowledge. We distributed it so everyone could contribute.
You gave away your power.
We created more power by sharing it. Hi Scrivener, you said we broke your universe, but maybe your universe was already broken. You built scarcity into your culture. We built abundance into ours. Not because we're better, just because we had different assumptions about what was possible.
He showed her a design schematic.
See this problem we've been working on for 5 years? Ink that works in zero-gravity environments. We haven't solved it. Maybe your Scriveners could. Maybe combining your artisanal knowledge with our manufacturing capacity creates something neither of us could build alone.
For the first time since entering the factory, Zithara's chromatic display shifted from bone-white despair to something that might have been hope. A pale blue-green that Kenji's briefing said indicated cautious optimism.
You would work with us after we threatened war?
You threatened war because we destroyed your economy without even noticing. That's on us. We should have done the cultural research before flooding your markets. We should have understood what we were disrupting.
He gestured at the factory floor beyond the door.
All this power, and we never thought to ask what it would mean to people who weren't us.
He pulled up a manufacturing proposal he'd drafted over the past 3 sleepless days.
Joint venture, human manufacturing capacity plus Quillspine artisanal knowledge. We teach your engineers industrial production. You teach our designers about your traditions. We create a hybrid system that preserves what matters about your culture while giving you access to the benefits of mass production.
And the millions of unemployed scribes?
Retrain them as engineers, designers, quality specialists. Your people spent decades mastering precision and patience. Those are exactly the skills that make great manufacturing professionals. Plus, honestly, our quality control could use people who spent 40 years learning to spot microscopic imperfections.
Zithara was quiet for a long moment, her compound eyes reflecting the factory lights in thousands of tiny fragments. When she spoke, her voice carried weight that Kenji felt in his chest.
You accidentally destroyed our civilization with ballpoint pens, and now you want to help us rebuild it using the same tools.
I want to help you build something better, something that keeps what matters. Your craftsmanship, your tradition, your identity, while adding what we're good at: scale, efficiency, distribution. We didn't mean to hurt you, but now that we understand what happened, maybe we can help fix it together.
Outside the archives room, the factory hummed with mechanical precision. 43 million pens per day, each one a small miracle of human engineering. But for the first time, Kenji understood they could be more than that. They could be a bridge between worlds, if he didn't screw it up again.
3 months. Give me 3 months to return to the Dominion and convince my people that cooperation is survival. 3 months to transform master scribes into industrial engineers.
And if they won't accept it?
Her chromatic display shifted again, this time to determine steel gray.
Then I'll show them this factory. I'll show them what you showed me. And I'll tell them the truth, that humanity didn't conquer us with weapons. They conquered us with the radical idea that abundance is better than scarcity, and that we can either learn from that or become extinct.
She extended one claw toward Kenji, a gesture his briefing said represented formal alliance among Quillspine. He shook it. As they walked back toward the factory floor, Kenji heard Bob testing another batch of pens. Click, scribble, click, scribble. The sound of civilization ending apocalypse and potential cooperation, depending on how you listened.
Hey, Bob, want to train some alien engineers?
Bob looked up, shrugged, and went back to his quality testing.
Sure, why not? Could use some extra hands during busy season.
Zithara's translator struggled with the concept of busy season for a moment. Then she laughed, a sound like crystal chimes in a windstorm.
Your species really has no idea how terrifying you are, do you?
Not usually, no. We're too busy making pens.
6 days after the factory tour, Kenji stood in a conference room that smelled like ozone and possibility. The space was half human, half Quillspine in design. Ergonomic chairs beside meditation, crystalline platforms, fluorescent lighting alongside bioluminescent panels, coffee makers next to whatever the Quillspine equivalent was. It smelled like cinnamon and regret. High Scrivener Zithara had returned with a delegation of 12, not warriors or diplomats, engineers, scribes willing to learn a new language of creation. The eldest, Master Craftsman Velmoth, had to be 300 years old if he was a day, his exoskeleton bearing the patina of centuries.
The Dominion Council has authorized this cooperation, pending successful trial period of, you called it 90 days?
3 months. Long enough to train your first cohort of industrial engineers and set up a hybrid production facility in the Quillspine sector.
He pulled up the architectural plans they'd spent a week developing.
Joint venture, Mitsubishi Quillspine, Manufacturing Cooperative.
Velmoth leaned forward, his ancient eyes studying the schematics with intensity that made Kenji nervous. When he finally spoke, his translator rendered his voice as dry as desert wind.
You propose to build 17 production lines in our primary trade nexus station.
17 to start. Scaled to produce approximately 3 million units daily. Staffed jointly by your trainees and our technical advisors.
3 million per day.
It's conservative. We thought it better to scale up slowly rather than flood your economy again.
He activated another display.
Production would be mixed. 60% traditional ballpoints for mass distribution, 40% premium implements using Quillspine artisan techniques enhanced with our manufacturing precision.
A younger Quillspine engineer, introduced as Specialist Crixtal, manipulated the holographic designs with evident fascination.
These premium implements, they would preserve our ceremonial aesthetic.
They'd be better than your ceremonial implements, because you'd be combining 3 centuries of artistic mastery with our material science. Crystal matrix ink reservoirs manufactured to micrometer tolerance, bioluminescent components that never degrade. Traditional Quillspine designs that write for 50 kilometers without refill.
Crixtal's chromatic display flickered through 6 emotions Kenji couldn't identify.
That's impossible.
It's engineering. Your people understand the artistry. We understand the manufacturing. Together, we make the impossible routine.
Zithara pulled up another document. this one making Kenji's breath catch. Economic impact projections. Jobs created, 14 million over 5 years. Former scribes retrained as precision engineers, quality specialists, design consultants. Guild halls converted to technical academies. The sacred orders transformed into research and development divisions.
This is predicated on our people accepting that what was sacred can become industrialized, that we can mass-produce beauty without destroying its meaning.
Can you? Because if this is going to work, your culture needs to decide. Are you artisans who can't adapt? Or are you engineers who happen to have 40 years of relevant training?
Velmoth was quiet for a long time. Then he reached into his ceremonial robes and pulled out a Quillspine quill, the traditional kind, blessed and sanctified, worth a year's income. He held it next to a Mitsubishi Uniball Signo RT1 that Kenji had given him.
I have spent 273 years perfecting the art of the quill. I have inscribed the names of 17 Dominion chancellors. I have created calligraphy that caused wars and ended them. I am, by every measure of our society, a master of my craft.
He clicked the ballpoint pen, wrote a single line of glowing script on the conference table's projection surface.
This human device replicates in seconds what took me a century to learn. And you know what that makes me feel?
Kenji braced himself for anger.
Curious. Profoundly curious. Because if you can make this level of precision routine, what could I make if I had access to your tools? If I could combine my knowledge of resonance inks with your chemical engineering, if I could design implements that preserved our aesthetics while achieving your reliability.
His chromatic display shifted to bright golden yellow, which Kenji's briefing said indicated excited anticipation.
I do not mourn the death of scarcity, Director Nakamura. I mourn that we wasted centuries protecting mediocrity by calling it sacred.
He gestured to the younger Quillspine engineers.
These young ones will learn your methods. But we old ones, we will teach you what you're missing. Because your pens are miracles of function, but they have no soul.
Then let's make pens with souls that also happen to work perfectly. Mass-produced souls, billions of them.
Zithara's mandibles clicked in what Kenji had learned was Quillspine laughter.
Humans really do weaponize everything, don't you? Even philosophy.
We prefer to think of it as democratizing philosophy. Why should only the elite experience beauty? Why shouldn't every child in the galaxy have access to tools that let them create art?
Krixtal spoke up, voice trembling with something that might have been hope.
Master Velmoth, you really think we can do this? Transform our entire civilization's foundation in 3 months?
No, I think it will take 3 years. But we start in 3 months.
He turned to Kenji.
Your species broke our economy. Very well. Now help us build an economy that can't be broken by the next civilization's industrial miracle.
The contract documents materialized in holographic space, dense with legal language and technical specifications. Kenji felt the weight of 14 million jobs, of entire civilizations pivoting, of first contact becoming first cooperation. He signed his name, ironically, with a Uniball Signo RT1. Zithara signed with a traditional Quillspine quill. Velmoth signed with both, one in each hand.
Joint venture approved. Mitsubishi Quillspine Manufacturing Cooperative. Primary objective, make the impossible routine.
Secondary objective, teach humans that efficiency without artistry is just fast mediocrity.
Deal.
Outside the conference room windows, Earth's factories hummed with their usual efficiency. But somewhere in the Quillspine Dominion, master scribes were packing up ceremonial quills and preparing to become industrial engineers. Somewhere, a scribe apprentice who'd spent 20 years studying ancient forms would learn CAD design and love it. Somewhere, a civilization built on scarcity would learn to build on abundance. And somewhere, inevitably, the next alien species would discover human manufacturing capacity and panic. But by then, maybe there'd be a cooperation model ready, a way to survive first contact with humanity's most terrifying weapon, the radical belief that everyone deserved access to miracles. Kenji looked at the signed contract and felt something he hadn't expected: hope.
So, who wants to tour the real factory? The one in Shenzhen that produces twice our volume?
4 Quillspine engineers fainted simultaneously. Some things apparently took time to adjust to, but they'd learn together.